Hey everybody, and thanks for listening to Starting a Record Label. If you haven't figured it out by now, this podcast is about me starting a record label. This week I actually had on one of my friends, Chris Wallace. We've known each other since, I think like 7th grade. He was in one of the big MySpace breakout bands, the White Tie Affair. Not only was he lead singer of the White Tie Affair, but he's also an amazing songwriter. Super nice guy. Really fun to be around, always. But anyways, we talk about his life, signing to a record label, the MySpace era. We talk about today and his solo career and what he's doing personally to try to get out there. Even a lot of newer stuff like writing music live via Facebook and other things that he's trying out. We talk about labels today and whether or not my idea is any good. Actually, we did a live Zoom video, so if you want to watch the video is on YouTube. I usually post most of these things on YouTube, but they don't always have video. Hopefully in the future we can try to make that different. But last thing before we start, if you could subscribe and share this with a friend, it goes a long way to help us get exposed to new listeners. Also, if you're interested in being on the label, you can head over to nottodayrobot.com and enter in your band's information, and I'll definitely check that out. But without further ado, Chris Wallace.
Joshua!
Hey, how's it going?
What's up, my friend? Oh, I had the volume up way loud.
Oh, yeah.
Cheers, my friend.
That? Thank you. I have to do the tea. I've been trying to lose some more weight. I've gained a crap ton back since then.
Oh, really? Man,
yeah.
You got this, bro. You got this shit. It's all in your mind. You got it.
So how's things going in the songwriting universe?
Podcast land. Songwriting universe is probably better than ever. Honestly. I've been, the last few years, I mean, as you might know, I've been, I was an artist for many years, and then I've been focusing on writing songs for other people. So I'm like, now I actually just switched about a month ago to writing more albums for myself. So I'm taking a break from writing for anyone else, So, but it's going really well. Even in the quarantine, I'm still like getting cuts and offers for people to cut my songs. So
that's crazy. You figure that would slow down, but it doesn't.
No, I mean, I think with the quarantine, people are going to be releasing more because they can tour less. Normally it's like you release a thing, then go promote it. And then it's like now you kind of take that variable out. I'm sure people are still promoting, but you take a little bit of that touring mechanism and the time spent traveling and all that stuff, and it's just more time to create, I feel like. So I feel like output will increase.
I'm going to treat this like a podcast because it pretty much is.
You tell me, bro. Yeah, I don't know. I've never done anything. I don't even listen to podcasts.
No, dude, I listen to so many podcasts. It's crazy. It's ridiculous.
You lead the way, bro. I'm just gonna I could basically talk for hours, so you might have to shut me up some.
Oh, I know. Chris and I have been friends since like 7th grade. He played a couple of times in a few of the bands that I grew up in, but he's always been playing music since the day I knew him. And he eventually was in a band called the White Tie Affair. I'm sure you guys have heard of. How'd you get signed to that originally, just so that everybody else knows?
White Tie Affair. So I was in a band in Indiana called A Perfect Gentleman. Me and a friend of mine had this band, and we wrote a bunch of songs that a few of them ended up becoming White Tie Affair songs. But I had this crazy idea one day to make this like super pop song, and I downloaded Reason at the time, and I made this loop beat and put it on MySpace at the time. I didn't put it out. I actually played it for the band that I was in, and they're like, "This is not good." And I was like, "Oh no."
That was like strictly like post-punk rock, though.
Yeah, it's like me taking a huge chance. I was really big into Hello Goodbye and Panic at the Disco and all that stuff. And I was like, electronic mixed with guitars. Come on. And everyone, the band was just like, nah, this is whack, bro. So then I was like, oh, okay. And I was sad for a few days. And then I sent it to another friend randomly, this dude, Andrew. And he's like, bro, this song is like, this is magic. Like, you got to release this. So then I was like, all right, screw it. So I made up a silhouette image and posted it on MySpace, like kind of as a secret, because I didn't want to tell my band at the time, because I wanted to keep it going. I didn't want to make anybody mad. And then overnight, it just blew up. It got posted on this site called absolutepunk.net. You remember that one?
Oh, yeah.
And actually, this dude, this dude, Chris, this promoter guy, had heard it and knew someone at absolutepunk.net and sent it to him. and it just blew up overnight. And then literally within 2 days of that, like 4 major labels were calling me, and a couple indie labels. Brett Garowitz, I think, was the first one that called me.
Nice.
And it was one of those things. I was going to work. I was in college. I was going to Purdue at the time, and it just like flipped my whole world. It was basically from like 0 to 100. I was in local bands trying to make it. And then it was just this one thing happened. They're like, yo, can we hear other stuff? And I was like, oh my God, I only have one song. Like, So
yes.
it was, and then so I just immediately I quit my job. I basically sold everything I had, and I was just like, screw it. I'm doubling down on this. And I honestly have never stopped since.
I remember how the craziness of that, and you sending me it and seeing the numbers just skyrocket, like on the MySpace stuff. Like, holy crap, Chris is really into something. This is really big.
Yeah,
I just remember that.
It blew my mind. Every day was just a new change. It was like, I'm like, one day I'm going to work. I had an internship set up in college or after college, and I was like, okay, this music thing I think it's working, but maybe I should finish my backup plan, because it was kind of, it felt like it was running its course a little bit. And then this one huge beacon of hope came, and I'm like, wow. And next thing I know, like a day later, I'm on the phone with Brett Garowitz. He's like, hello, have you heard of my label? And I'm just like, oh my God, this is insane. So yeah. And that was like the spark. And then I've just constantly poured gasoline on it ever since.
How many, because you took a couple of the guys from A Perfect Gentleman, right, to be in the White Tie Affair?
One of the guys, this guy, Sean Patwell.
Sean, yeah.
Sean P. And he was kind of like the producer guy. Like I really had, when I made that first song, I just learned Reason. Like,
That's big at the time.
A couple buttons on Reason and like drug in some loops. It was super lo-fi. And I actually sent it to like a friend of a friend, and he mixed it and made it sound a little more hi-fi. And I was like, oh, this is dope. And that was just an overnight thing. It's crazy how that can happen. And, in this age, the same thing's happen. And you're seeing it happen on TikTok. You're seeing it happen with Lil Nas X, I mean,
yeah.
I'm not saying my song it's a similar thread though. It's just like, the barriers of entry, it's like everyone has a voice now. And if it cuts through enough, everybody's got a shot,
Yeah.
So it's really exciting. It's a really exciting time, I think, especially right now.
Yeah, I really see, especially with TikTok right now, I feel like Facebook kind of stomped out like any chance of having music be a part of that. Even Instagram, I feel like that's not very, very good. But TikTok, especially since it's so music based, has a really good chance.
Well, I mean, you could turn the sound off, but like when you log in, the sound's on. Like that's
you log in and it's loud already. Like whenever I turn it on, I'm like, holy crap!
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was originally
with something.
Yeah, it was originally called Musical.ly, and then they they decided like, hold on, this is pigeonholing us. Let's go broader. And I think it was a smart move. And the quarantine has just made that platform explode. And honestly, man, a lot of the internet's so serious. It's just, you go to Instagram and everyone's serious. Everyone's like extra photoshopped. You know what I mean? And everyone's just posing and posturing. They're taking 50 pictures and posting the one, one out of that camera roll. And I don't know, man. I think the world is just kind of over production value, man. Now that everyone's got a camera as good as, movies when we grew up in their pocket, it's just like production value is almost like, okay, everybody can do that. So I feel like TikTok is allowing people to be creative in a different way, and it seems fun. It seems fun again,
I think having too much production value seems less genuine. Like, especially for the younger artists.
Like, even people's artworks, artists' artwork is they're just doing it themselves. Like, and that's how art should be. There shouldn't be a barrier to entry. Like, everyone should be able to make art. Think about like, if you wanted to start painting right now, you go to the store, buy all the tools you need. The rest is on you. And I think music should be the same way. I mean, obviously learning instruments and stuff, there's a craft to it, but also, I don't know. I feel like anyone should have the opportunity to be able to create, and with technology, it's evolving it to where, a random Lil Nas X could just make a song and change his entire life, and I think everyone should have those opportunities. Cool. So I'm for it, man. I love it.
Yeah.
Bring it on. Best song wins, right?
Serious. Well, like I've been trying to start a label lately, and I feel like rock musicians in general really just they're not interested, especially in something like TikTok, probably because of maybe the age range.
Yeah, honestly, even a lot of my peers, a lot of songwriters in the industry, I've always been, when a new technology comes, I always just dive right in. I always have. And honestly, I owe the initial start of my career to the same thing. I mean, MySpace, if that did not exist,
yeah,
my path would be completely different.
There was a lot of people that blew up, especially around that time. What do you have, like Tia, Tequila, or whatever, and Red Jumpsuit Apparatus, and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just kind of an endless opportunity with the internet, and I think it's fantastic, man.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's never going to stop either. There's just going to be another, TikTok is the new MySpace, is the previous YouTube, and it just never ends.
Yeah.
I love it.
Same thing with the rock thing, though. Like, I think that I don't know what's up with them a little bit, that they maybe don't. Maybe it's the same thing with them not feeling like it's genuine. Like a couple of the artists that I've talked to in the past aren't even very interested in Patreon, which seems like the most straightforward way to like support the band that you like or artists that you like.
Honestly, I think previous generations, i.e. millennials, and a lot of, it's carried over, but I think a lot of people think art's a little too precious, And going back to the point I said earlier, like everyone should be able to make art, and just because you learn the guitar for 3 years, like it doesn't mean you're any more worthy, So I feel like, it's kind of like you got to get with the times, otherwise you don't get anything, And that's just the world now, and there's no way around that. You could complain about it all day long, but like the dude who's doing the TikTok is going to get the exposure, So, I mean, you could just wait till TikTok's over in a couple of years. That's cool. But, ultimately, making fans is about person-to-person interaction. It doesn't matter the platform. And the question I think you got to ask yourself if you're going to do music is, do I want to connect with a person to my music? And if the answer is yes, you should be using every platform religiously. You should be posting content on everything, even if it's like not going to work and never going to work.
Yeah.
I think, and if you don't, then you're just missing free opportunity. This age that we're in you could not buy advertising that you could get on TikTok. I actually started it a few months ago. Just posting fun videos, and I've had one go viral. I'm not even trying. I have no followers. I haven't posted it to my Instagram. I haven't posted it to my Twitter. Nothing. No one knows about it.
You didn't try to cross-pollinate beforehand.
I did on purpose as like an experiment, basically to, because we're all skeptics until we're not,
Yeah.
And when Instagram first started, like Twitter was popping. So people were like, that ain't going to work or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I really think as an artist, these tools are all free promotion tools. So if you're not using them, then you're literally missing out on potential free promotion, because you could be one post away from connecting with one more fan that comes to your show, or that tells another person who that other person, is a head of a Netflix, or, someone scouting a movie who said, if you don't keep connecting the dots, then you just miss out on opportunity, is what I'm saying,
Yeah.
You could, that one, you not posting that one extra video could be the reason you didn't get this movie trailer or whatever it is, And I think it's all about connections. And it's like, do you want to connect with your fans? TikTok is silly and dancing, but if you look on there, there's 100 different ways to create TikToks and create content that moves people.
Oh yeah. A lot of the cooking people from YouTube moved over to it because it's a lot easier to do that.
Yeah, and do you see the YouTube has the short stories version coming out really soon? I saw next month. And because the world is just, they want to consume constantly. So us as creators, I think it's our job to just keep feeding them. Because if we don't, somebody else is going to create something and feed them. They're going to eat no matter what. You got to think of it that way.
Yeah.
When you sit in your bed in the morning or at night, you scroll on the internet, right? Like everyone does. So you're just buying people's time. So if you're not posting, then you're missing out.
Yeah. That's one of the points, and one of the differences of what I want to do is take things away from that idea of, like, releasing music at a certain time of year, or releasing music, as a package, whether it be an album or whatever, and start releasing more, like once a month. Try to
Mm-hmm.
promote as much as you can through every single kind of social media source. Do a lot more video so that you have a lot more ways to connect with the fans and the audience, and just put as much out there as we can,
Yeah.
so that we can maybe hit something somewhere.
I think so. I mean, like I told you, I started making another album, and I just set a release date for about 2 weeks from now, 2 weeks from Friday. And I'm basically going to release a song every 2 weeks.
Nice.
Until I feel like it, because right now I produce and write all myself. I play all the instruments, and at one point I was the drummer. At one point I was the guitar player. In the band that we were in together, I was the bass player. So I've done all the parts, and I played the producer game, the songwriter game for a long time, and now I'm basically just kind of the one-man band. And there's so much money on the master side. I own the masters to some of my previous recordings, and it's insane. So you could, and as a songwriter producer, I'm looking at, like, okay, I produced this song, it has 200 million plays, I made X amount of dollars, and I released this song myself, and it has X amount of plays, and hold on, I have how many more dollars than, you know what I mean? So it's the math is off, and there's so much advantage to owning the master, and doing it yourself, so, and I've also been live streaming while I write. I've been live streaming yesterday, as an example. I was writing this song. I was really in my feelings, and I just decided, I was like, you know what? I'm going to go on Facebook Live right now and sing it for people on there. And I turned my Facebook Live on, and maybe 20 people came on, and I was like, you know what? You guys repost this. I want to get a bunch of people in here. And there ended up being maybe 50 or 60 people at one time. It ended up being a ton over time. People were in and out, but I played the song for them as I was writing. And the comments, the feedback loop, and I actually played them 2 songs. I played them one song I wrote last week, like just on the piano, and then I played in this one kind of with the track, and I just sang the dry vocal to the fans, and they said, you have to finish that song immediately. They go, we want this right now. I want to send it to my friend. I want to, my friend who's going through this. I want to, and that's powerful. You know what I mean? The idea of making art in that type of capacity, to get an instant feedback, as opposed to, a label or whatever you do, you send the song to your manager or label or however it usually works, and they're like, oh, this is cool. I really think it's better than the last one. And then, you go back and forth, and everyone sits with it for a minute, and yada, yada, yada. And then you put a marketing budget together, and then you go to put the song out, and say it does well, or say it doesn't do well. And then you're like, oh, what went wrong? But you could have cut out all this extra time by just giving them, like, even a sample. It could be on the acoustic. It could be something really simple. So I think, with technology, if you could get comfortable in front of a camera, I think there's endless opportunity out there. Yeah. You could, I mean, if you're a band writing a song, you could just put your phone in the corner, and you're giving them a recording, but it's a really low quality recording. So they, they're going to want the real thing if they like it. So I don't know. I think a lot of people are just thinking about it all wrong, and they're a little too precious about their art, when you could be getting instant feedback. And, and can you imagine, like what's your favorite song?
Gosh,
what's top 10, like what's one of your favorite songs?
Oh gosh, you can kill me here. I don't know.
What's Not Believing? What do you got? Come on, man. All right. So how about this? How about this? Michael Jackson Thriller. Right when Eddie Van Halen walks in to do the guitar solo for Beat It. Say he had a live stream coming on for that, and you're a fan of Michael Jackson, but then in walks in Eddie Van Halen, and you're just like, oh, what is happening? He does this solo, and you're just like, and can you imagine the story you would tell for the rest of your life about watching that go down? So I think there's tons of opportunity that a lot of people are putting their ego in front of this opportunity. So that's my thoughts.
Yeah.
And as someone I'm going through it, I keep getting messages from these people saying like, man, I'm going through this and that really helped me. And they just keep reaching out. So I think it's more powerful than you think. This whole internet thing.
It's such a way to like connect deeply. In fact, I think we talked about that last time where I was like, I think that some of the guys should like write a song live or like write a song and like say, hey, what do you think of this, at least like on YouTube? And then that'd be a way to eventually pick the song of the month or whatever that we're going to record for, for real or whatever. It's just
you could take
going through that process. Yeah.
Take a poll and you could be like, yo, and especially a group starting from nothing. Say you're a brand new band, you have no fans. And you're like, you know what? We're just going to go live. It might be our friends at first, we're just going to go live and make stuff, even if it's like starts of songs or whatever, get feed, or maybe finish a thing and just play it for them. Be like, you know what? Every, we're going to write this day. And when we're done with the song, we're going to go live and show it to you guys, and it might be your parents at first, but that their parents might turn into the parents' friends and then their kids. And, it's just, people want to watch. It's like reality TV almost, if you think about it, and then they're connected with you forever. I feel like that's how you get forever fans. Everyone wants a hit, but don't you want a career like 20, 30 years from now? You know what I mean? Like that's the legacy type of stuff. I feel like those are the type of connections you make forever,
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people want the brass ring, they want they want to be on the top of the Spotify chart or whatever. And I think you got to ask yourself, what do you want? Do you want it at the top of the chart, or do you want to make a fan one at a time? Like a real fan. So
the slow burn is always better anyway. Like the build up to that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and you never have the giant up and giant down to where you're going to be, shaving your head.
It's like
going crazy.
I think it's the equivalent of like touring and meeting fans after the show. It's some similar equivalent to that, because you're giving these people an experience that they're going to remember, and they're going to have their photo, and they're going to look back on that memory. Mm-hmm. And I think you're giving them a version of that virtually.
Absolutely. I was thinking that earlier, whereas like, I used to go to shows back before the internet had even video or anything like that. We'd go to shows, and the best part was like either the banter on stage, like getting to know the artist. And then afterwards, like maybe you could, meet them at their tour bus or doing something different, like actually meet the band a little bit. Yeah. That was always more, there's always more.
The second show I ever went to was at the Metro in Chicago, and it was Fall Out Boy. It was, they were headlining the Metro. So it's, 1,000-person venue. So they weren't big at all. I mean, they were starting to get really big in Chicago. And I remember after the show, the band was out there. And I remember talking to the band, and I was like, whoa, this is amazing. Like, they were just on the stage, and now I'm talking to them. And, now you could do that without leaving the house. Yeah. Like, why aren't people doubling down on this? I get it. It's about, I think a lot of artists want to like achieve a status where they don't have to do all the minutia. But it turns out, you just got to ask yourself, what are you doing it for? Are you doing it for the glory and the admiration, or are you doing it to actually make fans and create art that lasts and makes real connections and changes people's lives? Mm-hmm. I think you got to make those decisions. And I think any of those decisions is fine, but you just got to be honest with yourself and be like, you know what? I don't want to have to do all this minutia, so I'm going to take a risk and just not do it. And I feel like you're setting yourself up to fail most times, unless you're just stupid talented.
Yeah. I mean, it's completely a no brainer for a new artist to do this. It doesn't make any sense to fight it at all. I'm wondering maybe like why the bigger artists don't do it so much. I know a lot of rappers do, like they're great with marketing and whatnot like that, but I wonder maybe they're a little bit scared to like bury themselves a little bit live.
Yeah, but the industry is moving slower than technology. There are artists
always. There's
artists doing it, and the industry always is. I talk to people, label people all the time, because I'm always working on production deals with A&Rs and heads of A&Rs and heads of labels and all that stuff. And it's so interesting, the conversations I have with the label heads versus the conversations 2 days ago, I had a conversation with one of the heads of TuneCore, which is actually where I distribute my music. And it's just coincidence that this dude I've known for years actually ends up being like a really high up dude there. And I had no idea he even worked there. We were just kind of catching up because I haven't talked to him in a while. And he basically told me, he's like, the entire industry's changed, man. All the money's on the master side, and independent artists can do whatever they want. They're not locked into any deals. So they could just endlessly release records if they want to, you know? He basically told me, he's like, dude, the model and the algorithms on Spotify, the way they work is the more you release, the more their algorithm caters to you. Yeah. The more often you release. So, you know, I mean, that's why I'm going to just start dropping songs every 2 weeks. I'm not going to be precious about my art, you know, and I don't think art's really meant for overthinking. I think you're just supposed to make it and make it as best as you can, not overthink it, and just put it out.
Yep.
I think the days of working on a song for 3 months and then, you know, going to radio for 6 months, and I just think that's all over, you know? I mean,
I think radio's kind of dead.
Well, radio's still important because there's this kind of local feeling when you turn on the radio. And especially right now during the pandemic, it seems like radio's really back on the map a little bit because people are getting local information, you know? So you got to think about localization. You know, say you're from, you know, Sioux City, South Dakota, you know? I'm sorry, I was trying to think of the most random city I could think of. Sioux City, South Dakota, you know, and you turn on the local news and they're talking about things about Sioux City, you know? So I think there's a local aspect that really keeps radio stations and their information and the news and a sense of community. I think that's what's making it so radio stations aren't just completely gone. You know? Yeah. So yeah, that's mine. No, I mean, radio's, you know, because I've done so many radio promo tours, you know. Actually, I just randomly, I got another song going on radio right now, and it just got its first spin in Nashville, and I was so stoked.
Nice.
But they, you know, but I've been to that station before, so I reposted the Instagram post. And, you know, the person from the station is like, yo, what's up, man? What are you doing? I was like, I wrote that song that you're playing right there, you know, and I produced it or whatever. And he's like, oh my God, when are you going to release some music? And I'm like, hold on, let me get my stuff together here, you know? So I just basically decided about a month ago that I'm going to go full bore back into artist land. Cause it's, you know, no one's, you know, as a songwriter, I write songs in a room with, you know, songwriter A and songwriter B, hot songwriter of the moment, and I produce a demo or whatever, and I pitch it to pop artist A, B, C, you know, try, you know, you always go for the very top, and, you know, sometimes it trickles down into B or C, and that market's kind of drying up. It's really drying up, you know, so like, it's really clicky. So it's just making me be like, why do I want like artist B and C to produce or release my songs? I'd rather just release them myself. So that's kind of, you know, and it's more fulfilling anyway, especially talking to the fans and doing that whole dance. It's so fulfilling, you know.
You've always been someone to love to be actually play out, though. I mean, like, you know, make music, play out, get the feedback from real people.
Well, I was reading that, you know, live shows aren't coming back for at least a year. It's what it seems. So I'm like, I mean, hopefully that changes. But you know, I use I produce in Logic, and I also produce in Ableton. And I'm pretty proficient in both of them equally. And I started using the push controller. And I designed a set of 3 songs the other day where I could trigger the loops myself. And I got a little pedal to trigger them. And it's like, you know, kind of like Ed Sheeran does his looping thing. And, you know, I think I'm going to start live streaming solo shows.
Hey, that'd be fun.
You know, I mean, for free at first, and, you know, maybe eventually do some kind of Patreon or something like that for really exclusive stuff. But I don't know. It's just a new wave. You know, I think we got to learn to adapt. So
100%.
I love playing live shows. I mean, what happened is I played a show, my first big show in Chicago with White Tie Affair, played a place called the Beat Kitchen. And, you know, I had played a bunch of shows before then.
I think I was there.
Oh, you came to that show?
I think I was there.
That was the first White Tie Affair show where we like revealed ourselves, because it was just silhouettes. You know, it was just me, and then I added some band members afterwards. You know, I was like, oh man, I better put a band together. I claimed it was a band. I made a fake silhouette of 3 dudes. You know, with white ties on. But yeah, I played the Beat Kitchen, and ever since I stood on that stage and heard, those, I don't know, 200 people or whatever, it sold out. I was so excited. It was my first show as the band. We sold out the place, and I was like, what is happening with my life? Like, what happened? It just flipped. And I heard people sing along with my song, and I was hooked. It was game over from then. I was like, I'm doing this for life. I don't care what I got to do. So, and then, after that, White Tie Affair did, we probably did 800 shows probably. We toured for years before the label even would put out a single. They were like, yo, just hit the road for a couple years. We'll pay for it.
Yeah.
They're like, get better as a band probably is what they meant. Rely on the tracks less, bro.
Jeez. I remember meeting up with you a couple times, like at a few different like practice spaces or whatever, like in between shows and whatnot.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was kind of, for a few years, it was hard to get a hold of you.
Honestly, man, it's just opportunity. Just in my brain, once an opportunity is in front of your face, man, you can't turn your head away from it.
Yeah.
Because if you turn it away for a second, that opportunity could be gone, and that's what I think a lot of artists don't really realize, and it's not always like that, especially now. You could kind of nurture the career, but in my head at that time, I was like, I have to put my foot on the gas and never let it off. So I lost a lot of friends during that journey and didn't talk to a lot of family. I missed a lot of Thanksgivings. I missed a bunch of Christmases, birthdays. As a band, you definitely sacrifice a lot of awesome things, but I don't know, man. You look back at those days and you're just like, wow, those were the good old days or whatever, And now I'm going to do it again, and it's going to be awesome, man. I can't wait.
That was cool.
Mm-hmm.
When you were signed to Epic, right?
Yeah, we signed to Epic.
How was that whole experience?
Well, like I said, I put out the one song for White Tie Affair, and then all these labels started calling, and they're like, you got more songs? I'm like, oh yeah. It was not true. So I scrambled. I called every friend I knew locally. I was like, yo, anybody got, like, who wants to write a song? And it turns out, I wrote the first one pretty much by myself. So I ended up just putting kind of a band together. And so then we put together an EP, and then the label put that out, and I think distributed it for free, put together like a fan group and stuff. And then we recorded the album that summer. But this dude, Matt Mahaffey and Jeff Turzo, they're actually the dudes that did the Hello Goodbye record. Because initially they're like, who do you want to do it? And I was like, Bushwalker.
Exactly.
I was always, because growing
Shoot
up,
for the stars.
Well, I was a big Marvelous 3 fan. I was like, I want Bushwalker or John Feldman to produce my record. And the label's like, all right, let's see what we could do. And I was like, oh my God, this could actually possibly happen. Because, Goldfinger was the first band I learned guitar to.
Yeah, me too.
Like, those were. I mean, I didn't even know what I was doing, but I was figuring out those riffs, like the Here in Your Bedroom and all that stuff.
Yep.
I was loving that. So, we come from that same era of that type of music, and so I was like, and then they're like, well, actually, he's busy doing blah blah blah. And then I remember Butch Walker was busy as well, and I was like, well, shit, who else is there? I was like, who else actually produces? Because all the albums I had, I had Story of the Year, I had all these albums that only those two dudes did. And it was like internet, there's no Wikipedia and shit. So I was like, who else is there? I don't know any other producers. So then they were like, who else do you like? And I was like, I really like the way that Hello Goodbye sounds. That could be kind of cool. And then they're like, oh, Matt Mahaffey. So we ended up doing the whole album there. So, and we had an entire album written. And then the song that ended up being the single was the add-on at the very end, go figure, So Candle was the last song written for that album. It's like, and that's the album, or that's the record that went gold or whatever.
There's a lot of stories like that. That's kind of crazy. I think Chick Magnet from MXPX is another one that was like that. It was just a random one-off song. They're like at the end. It's kind of weird. I remember hearing that about, I remember watching like MTV or something growing up, and Lifehouse said that too. About that. Falling even more in love with you. Yeah.
I believe that's the story. I don't know. Maybe my memory's not serving me correctly. But I just remember I was like, because I was exhausted. The album was done in my brain, and then I went in this room and started kind of working on this idea I had written on the piano at my mom's house. before I left for California to record the album. And I had like a voice note recorded of it, or some kind of recording. I don't remember. It was like in Cubase. I think I might have done it on my computer or something. And yeah, I was working on it in this room. And there's the dude who owned the building. It's Scott Cutler. He actually wrote the song "Torn" by Natalie Imbruglia.
Mm-hmm.
You know him?
Yeah,
you know that song. But it was his studio, so I was playing on the grand piano they had in one of the separate rooms, working on the song idea. And he's like, "Oh, what is that song?" And I was like, "It's a song I'm writing right now." He's like, "You need any help with it?" And I was like, "No, I don't think so." And then I was working on it for a little bit, and I was like, "You know what? I'm gonna go talk to him." So then I was like, "Yo, bro, let's write this." It was my first co-write. Basically my first random co-write ever. And then we ended up writing that song Candle. The label heard it. They're like, that's the one, and then the rest is history for that one. So the label situation was fun. In hindsight, as soon as I got signed to a label, I was young at the time. It was my first, like I said, I went from 0 to 100 and I was like, somebody likes me, I was very, we're all insecure and we're all hard on ourselves about our art and the music we make. And we always think it sucks till it doesn't. And, the label kind of told me what to do more than they probably should have. And I listened to them, because I was like, I didn't know what to do. They're like, this is what you should do. And I'm like, okay, I'll go do that. And in hindsight, there was a couple moves that I was like, I shouldn't have did that. I shouldn't have did that. I kind of should have took the reins a little more. And for new artists listening to this, I would say that should be like number one. Make sure everything is like your vision. You got to put your name on it. You got to sing these songs for the rest of your life. You got to, it's your art. So don't forget that.
And don't be timid.
Yeah, and it's like fight for what you believe in, and even if you got to go to bat or whatever, don't obviously jeopardize your situation, but if you're passionate about it, there's always a solution. If you're working with reasonable people and you're passionate, I'd say, be passionate. Show that passion, and you'll figure out how to come to a middle ground.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of learning. And even now, now I'm putting out music and labels are literally talking to me like, "Yo, hey, you want to do some kind of deal maybe?" And I'm like, "Nah."
Exactly.
It's the other way around now. I literally tell them, I'm like, "Yo, if I want to take on a partner later, I'll let you know." So you got to remember, you're always in control. You might not get the opportunities they're offering you, but you're still in control.
Yeah.
So that would be my recommendation for any new artist. Just like, don't be an asshole about it. Obviously, be reasonable, but, fight for what you believe in. Because, there was a couple songs that ended up getting released. I wrote this joke song. I'll give you actually one of the examples. White Tie Fair wrote we had our first album, sold really well. The single did really well. Label's like, all right, we need another hit. And I was like, all right. So they put us with Dr. Luke. We wrote this song, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then the label got a new president and they dropped us.
Jeez.
They dropped us. And I was like, what? And, because it was successful. You know what I mean? That song went gold. Like the album was doing really well. And the head of Sony, heard about it and was like, no, you're not dropping them. So the head of the label now hated us.
Nice.
Because basically she wanted to get rid of us. Because we had a meeting and she's like, I don't get it. Are you Justin Timberlake or are you Fall Out Boy? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm whatever I want to be. I'm all of the above. And it was one of those meetings that you're just like, ooh, I don't feel like that went well. But those type of things happen. And, I told them, I was like, you know what? I can be both. There's no rules in this game that says I got to be one or the other.
Yeah.
And, so we ended up doing a little writing trip to New York, and I ended up writing this song called You Look Better When I'm Drunk.
Oh, I remember that one.
And if you look it up, it's a White Tie Affair song. I don't know, it probably has 500,000 streams or something at this point. It actually did pretty decent. It was like a top 30 radio song. And I wrote it kind of as a joke. And it was one of those things where we sent it into the manager sent it to the label, and and basically everyone's like, this is a smash. we got to release it. And I'm like, oh.
Hey.
I had this beautiful song called Fall With You. And I thought that one was the one. It was like, in my brain, it was like a Hot AC number one. You know, it was like a Goo Goo Dolls Iris type of song, you know? And I'm like, no, not the like, no, not the one that kind of is offensive to women. No, go with the love song.
It was crazy though, because I think I was at your last show and you played that song and the crowd was crazy. They're on the younger side, but they were crazy for that song still.
Yeah, I mean, you put 130 BPM 4 on the floor with a sidechain, bro. Dude, that was right when sidechaining was really coming into play.
That was big.
You know, so it was like one of the first, you know, it was right after Party Rock Anthem came out or whatever. So it's, you know, it's a big, you know, had all that going on. So it was very of the moment. But, you know, just lyrically, I was like, oh, man, it's just so cheap. The song ended up being a top 30 song on the pop chart, you know, and then after that, basically we asked the label, we're like, yo, what do you want to do next? You know, do you want to release another single? Do you want us to keep writing? And they're like, you know what, just stand by. We're going to maybe do something top of next year. And it was summer at that time. Or no, it was beginning of summer, I think. And I was just like, can we get off the label at all? And basically the label was like, sure. So we ended up getting off the label. And then the other band members, I was basically paying them a salary. And I pretty much told them I was going to, you know, stop that. For the most part, or, it's one of those things where it's like we weren't touring and stuff, so there was no money really coming in. So I was like, I can't really like pay you guys anything or whatever. So it was, it was a weird crossroads where everyone was like, all right, I guess this is over, you know. And then I just started making a solo album and ended up having a few big songs with that too. So I just never stopped. But White Tie Affair was a lot of lessons. You know, we did a lot of touring, and there's still a lot of fans. And I think actually this year, or, possibly next year after the quarantine's over, I think I'm going to do a reunion tour. I have a bunch of songs that I've written that I was thinking about, maybe I'll just put together, release like 3 or 4 singles with White Tie Affair as well. There's no rules anymore,
Yeah.
There never was. Society decided to say that there was rules. There's actually no rules in this game. Like the goal is to make art and show it to fans. Like all the labels and the charts and the all the hoopla in between. It's you could kind of cut out all that now and go straight to the fans.
Yeah.
So I think we're in the Wild West still of the internet. I think it's still anybody's game. So that's why I'm thinking like, I'll do an album there. I'll do a solo album. I'll do a fake DJ project. I'll get me a hat or a mask.
Gosh.
No, I'm joking, man. That stuff seems to be over. But hey, you never know.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, but it would be fun to play in a band on stage again. That's fun. Because even when I'm going to do my solo stuff, when I start touring, I might hire a drummer, or maybe a drummer who plays keyboards and does a couple other things. But I don't want like a ton of people on the stage. I don't think. The cymbals, man, they got to my ears, bro.
Oh, dude.
I'll tell you what, when I'm mixing songs now, my ears only go up to like 1,200. And I know it's because of the damn cymbals, bro. I know it. Because I'd be performing on stage and just thrashing in my ears.
Jeez. Even from just practicing, like, I never obviously played out very much, but whatever bands that I've been, I feel like that did, like being so close to the drummer in small rooms did wreak a little bit of havoc on my ears.
Yeah. It was weird. Years ago, and I don't know, there's just something so amazing about hearing loud music that it's like you don't care.
Yeah.
And also, after you listen to it for a few minutes, your ears compress naturally. So it doesn't seem as loud to you. So you don't know you're damaging your ears after a few minutes, or I don't know what the time is, but there's that variable too. So,
which is a little bit why I think like that we had the whole like loudness war forever. I feel like, it sounds better when it's like just smashed to death. It's like, oh no, that maybe kind of makes you feel like you're there, like, because it's just so distorted.
I think it was a little bit of that, but I also think it was like because louder always sounds better.
Yeah.
If I played you a song at volume 4, and you'd be like, oh, it sounds good. And then I turn it up to 10 and the bass is kicking and, the sound system's going. You're just like, oh, it's like I'm at the concert. So I think, Loudness Wars was because of that as well. Because it's like, if your song's just a little louder than the next one, you could trick someone into thinking it's better.
That's definitely true. I would, here's I don't know if it's a good idea, but I used to, when I would have problematic mixing, like, people that were like, I just don't know. I don't know if this mix is good. And they're just in their own head way, way too much. I would send them another mix, but it would be barely different. I would just like compress it slightly more. And just so it would be slightly louder, like maybe
really?
a half a dB. And they would like, oh, wow, it sounds so much better. What'd you do? Like, oh yeah, I did a lot of stuff, like just them getting out of their way. But like, it is like a confirmation, like bias kind of thing where we think whenever we hear two songs, but one's slightly louder, like it does trigger something in your brain to think it sounds better.
Yeah, man, it's all subjective, I mean, I think, like I was saying, or like I said earlier about quality, video quality, everything, like I think people's standards aren't as high as the world thinks they are.
Yeah.
We set the standards because we want to sound like the Foo Fighters record, and we want to sound like the big Post Malone record, or whatever. We say it needs to sound like that, but it doesn't. No. The fans just say like, "Give me the music, bro," or people who like the music, or they do not listen to the mix. Like I always use my wife, or I'll use like my little sister as like an example. I'll send him a song and be like, "Hey, what do you think about this song?" They're like, "It's great." I'm like, "Hey, is the cymbals too loud?" And she's like, "What's this? Which one's the cymbal?" So
yeah.
I go back and forth as a creator. Are the vocals clear? Are the drums clear? Are basically top two for me. I also read a metric saying 70% of music is consumed on a phone speaker.
Oh, yeah.
So, every mix I do, I make sure it sounds great on the phone. More than it. I mean, my monitors as well, while I'm mixing it. But I have a plugin. Do you have that one, that Adrio, it's called?
I don't have it, but I've heard of it, yeah.
It's a $10 plugin. And, yeah, it live streams it through the Wi-Fi to your phone so you could check it immediately, the mix. And I do that religiously, because that's where everyone's going to hear it.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have a huge hit song, they're definitely going to hear it on mall speakers and all that stuff too. And, that's when I think that's when the mixing really counts. But for the most part, everything's getting compressed and put on TikTok and, I don't know. I'd say just don't make it harsh would be my recommendation. Yeah. If you could just get rid of that like high-end harshness, multi-band that, you're good. Beyond that, make the drums punch. Make sure the vocal's not too harsh. I feel like, that's mixing in my brain. Like,
well, both YouTube and Spotify nowadays, they volume match everything. So.
Oh yeah. I have the chart or whatever of all that. I'm actually, since I'm going to start releasing music, I'm basically going to make it all the correct LUFS for all the different platforms. So, and I've had songs that came out that I've mastered myself and mixed myself, and it's just a different world these days. The plugins are so good, and it's all subjective anyways. So. I said, make the drums punch, make sure you can hear the vocals, make the guitars wide, you're good, I mean, I
love sending it off to someone else, but yeah, more often than not, the bands are using my master.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I've done it both ways. You know what I mean? I've had Serbian Gane mixed a ton of songs, and he's really good. I mean, the pop stuff, there's not anybody better. I had one Tony Maserati mix. He was really good too. And there's this new dude, John Castelli. He's really good. I've been using him on a bunch of stuff. So
cool.
A lot of good mixers out there. I mean, not a lot of rock stuff, more like pop stuff, but but still like, or actually the White Tie Affair, Chris Lord Algae mixed 2 songs on that.
Yeah.
And I went to his studio and I was just like blown away.
Well, that's the one that I actually ended up working at that place, Resonate. He actually left not too long after that.
Yeah.
I never even got to meet him from that place.
That's funny.
I never got to meet him because he like literally in the middle of the night just unplugged everything and left. He was building another studio in Tarzana and he didn't tell anybody.
Wow.
He just unplugged anything and left.
You know,
He'd been working with those people for like 20 years.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, you never know what's going on. You know, you don't know anyone until you walk in their shoes. You know, in their minds, that was the right thing to do for some reason. You know,
whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
I got a job there after you left, so it was fine.
Yeah, great. It ended up working out. So, but yeah, it was at that same studio. It was at that same spot. I remember going there, and you know, he's like, I love the song so much, I gave you a drum and bass version too. And I'm like, all right, what am I gonna do with this?
Okay.
I still have it on my computer somewhere. He was a nice guy though.
Yeah.
Mick sounded dope.
Yeah, he's definitely the master for loud and we're banging.
Yeah, I mean, I love that American Idiot record. I mean, that was, I think I ended up buying 2 copies of that CD because I wore it out, you know.
I know we had talked about the idea of the label a while ago here, and I know that we'd kind of been talking about like artists probably could do better on their own. Like what
with a bit of infrastructure, especially bands, people that don't know how to produce, you know. I mean, you gotta have somebody helping you out.
Yeah, more and more though, you see them. I still run into them though that they, you know, some of them for some odd reason they don't see that as something they need to do.
Like make it sound good,
or just have like basic recording skills. I don't know. They like, hey, you guys need to know how to record a demo. You know?
I think most people get into music because they think it's going to be some kind of like easy street, you know, or it's like it's, you know, it's where you could kind of like slack off and like and do well at it, you know. It's that type of industry for the most part, you know. It's not like the hardworking dudes are like the entrepreneurs or like the one that want to go to college and be a doctor. Like that's, you know, so music people I think are generally sometimes a little lazier in general. But honestly, the best thing that I did for myself was learn how to record and become a producer and engineer. You know, I think people should at least be able to record vocals.
Yeah.
Like at least, especially in the quarantine now, you know, I'm working with all kind of top liners who write music and they're learning. You know, I got friends calling me. They're like, yo, how do I do Logic? And I'm like, well, I don't know where to start, but
exactly. Here's some YouTube videos. Go watch those.
No, yeah, that's what I did. I'll send them a few YouTube videos and, you know, I'll be like, yo, like I set up a few vocal chains for some people. And I was like, push this threshold knob here, depending on how loud your input is. And, you know, I try to help them out. But, you know, I like the idea of giving back, but I think the best thing a new artist could do, you know, is learn how to songwrite, learn how to produce. You know, like focus on those 2 things, because the thing that's made me the most luck in my life as an artist is my songwriting skills. And now that I'm trying to release stuff independently, and as a producer, is now my production skills, you know, because now I literally don't need anyone else to make music and put it out in the world and go directly to the fans, you know. And if you want to take on a label and take on a partner and have some, you know, manager help you blow up your career, you know, having those skills. You know, you think about someone like, you know, Russ, the rapper. I mean, I don't know. Have you followed his career at all?
No, I just hear things here and there. But yeah.
So Russ, basically, you know, kind of out of nowhere, producer guy, I think he uses Logic, just started making songs, releasing them. I think he was doing a song, like a song a day for like a few months, you know, but he was connecting with fans on a whole nother level, kind of like what I was talking about. And he just, you know, his productions were pretty good at the time. Now they're like really good, but you know, he was just making stuff, putting it out, getting instant feedback from the fans, like I was talking about. And now, I mean, he's one of those dudes that he's not like huge in the hip hop community at all, but he sells out Red Rocks. You know what I mean? He sells 10,000 tickets in Colorado, but like isn't on Rap Caviar or the big Spotify playlist. But turns out that doesn't matter. All that matters is connecting with the fans. So whatever gets you to that. So I'd say learn how to produce, learn how to record yourself, and you're basically adding so many skills, and it's like weapons in your arsenal to be an artist, you know. Like instead of spending extra time learning how to shred on the guitar, you know, learn the basics and then learn a program. And then once you got the program down, then you could shred, you know, or whatever version of that is, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that would be my recommendation first. I mean, my whole career wouldn't have started if I wouldn't have bought Reason. I went to Guitar Center and bought Reason. I kind of like, I'm going to try this out. I don't know. I saw someone making a beat at some show and I was like, you know what, I'm going to try some electronic stuff. And that was me taking a risk. You know, I grew up playing guitar and drums and bass, and, you know, I wanted to be in bands, you know, but it was me taking control of my own path. So if you are the producer, at least making the demos, you have the control. And I think a lot of artists don't realize that control, as soon as you let that control go to a producer, even if it's a, you know, producer you love, that's great, but you're still giving away some control. You know, so your vision has to compromise at some point. So I think, you know, even you think about people like Post Malone or whatever, it's like he uses GarageBand just to get his ideas out. I mean, he's not finishing any of the songs, but then he found Louis Bell, and, you know, or I don't know how many songs, but at least in a few interviews I've seen Post Malone talk about how he starts the demos and they sound like shit in GarageBand, but it's the idea. He's like, here's generally what I want. And then you feed it off to somebody who could help you finish it, you know, and that's exactly what I did for the first White Tie Affair song. You know, I started my really poorly recorded whole thing. I farmed it out to a dude locally. I think I paid him $100 or something at the time, maybe $50 or $100. He mixed it, made it sound, you know, added some production, did the thing, and we put it out, and it was off to the races, you know, so... I think there's more value in learning recording programs than, you know, even learning guitar or something like that, you know? You know, I mean, even if you like want to be in a band, I still think it would be more valuable to learn them at the same time, you know?
Do you think there's a place still for labels, like something that I want to do?
I definitely think so. I think people need infrastructure, you know? Everyone wants, like I said, they want the brass ring. They want to get to the goal. They can see the goal and they see everyone on the charts. But, you know, someone might have a ton of talent, but, you know, need someone to, you know, i.e. polish their stuff like I was just talking about. Or instead of pointing left where they're looking left, you'd be like, actually turn your head to the right a little bit. Oh yeah, go that way for like a little bit. You know, you go left later, you know. You know, think about a band like 1975 or something, you know, their first stuff was pretty straight, you know, and then they went left and then they went back straight and they went right. And, you know, so I feel like having an infrastructure is valuable because it makes you accountable to somebody, you know, because if you're on your own, you could get lazy and, you know, watch that extra episode of Breaking Bad or whatever instead of finishing that song. Whereas if you have a label or some kind of management infrastructure, you know, the manager or whatever is like, yo, where's that thing you promised me? I thought you were working on something dope, you know? And I think accountability really helps motivate people to finish things.
Yeah.
You know? And that, I would say, so having a team in that sense is for some people really necessary, you know? So that would be my thoughts on your label venture. You know, label. I would say do label, do management, do everything. Just basically your goal should be to make these people the biggest artists in the world. You know, find the next Imagine Dragons, find the next Killers, or you know what I mean, like, and just pour gas on the spark. You know, and that's what I would do.
That's basically the vision, to kind of be the manager, be the helpful producer, be the video editor if needed, be the marketing expert, you know, be all of that in one as much as I can be, and just grow it from there. Start as a team and kind of work with the social media aspect more than ever, because you know, putting stuff out on CDs and even vinyl or cassettes are fun for a while. Like that's just such small potatoes to where, you know, your money needs to be coming in from. Definitely.
Well, I mean, those are kind of novelty things at this point. You know, a CD is almost like a novelty item because nobody could even play it.
Yeah, seriously.
You know,
someone posted a picture the other day of like their PS2 or something, or PS3 or whatever, and it's the last thing in my house that I can play CDs on or whatever.
That's hilarious. No, but it's so true. You know, It's so funny, but that's just the world, you know. That's the world we live in, and it's an exciting world. And I think the opportunity is endless. I think as far as marketing potential right now, we're in an era that is exponentially. You could grow exponentially, like anyone could, if they have the right thing. Like, you know, the smallest person in the world, like the lowest ranking person. I read a thing. I was saying, like, the lowest ranking person in the world. Like, if you took all 8 billion people in the world and there was number one, like the bottom of the ranking of 8 billion people or 7 billion people or in the world, that person still has a voice. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Think about that. That person still can log into Twitter and post something. And if it's the right thing, it matters to people, the world will see it.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what I got to say to new artists. You know, don't stop believing.
Is that your favorite song?
Come on, man! Don't stop believing. Who doesn't love that song though?
There's like, a lot of people that don't love that song.
Yeah, but they don't love it, but they secretly love it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's got the 4 magical chords. The 4 magical chords, and it says something that we could all relate to. Because if you don't believe in yourself, then like you're doing it wrong. You know,
I got it on vinyl, original.
That's hilarious.
Not that I listen to it very much, which is most people. They just like collect them just to have them.
Hey, you know, gotta have a hobby.
Seriously.
Staring at vinyl. That's a good name for an indie band. Something like that. Vinyl collection.
Oh, dude, thanks for being on, man. And, you know, I look forward to the time that we can actually like grab a beer or something and hang out, because it's been forever. And
I know. I literally have not been out of the house in, I think, 2.5 weeks.
Yeah. You get like Instacart.
Yeah. I've done Instacart and like delivery for everything, you know, and I have my studio is on the 3rd floor of my house, or on like in the ground floor. So, I basically just get to walk out of the house, go to my studio in the back, and just make music all day. Which is that was the dream. That was the dream all along, you know.
Yeah, I'm building up a little shed out back so that I can move a lot of my stuff to. So because, gosh, my kids are they annoy the crap out of me. More like I probably annoy the crap out of them, to be honest. I'll be like tuning vocals. They'll be like, "Oh gosh, do you have to do that?" And like, I wish I didn't.
Yeah, well, that's my wife definitely used to have to go through that, and she's stoked that she doesn't have to anymore. But now it's like I'm in the studio so much, she comes anyway, so she's like, listen to me tune vocals anyway. So you know, I don't know, you know, they miss you, but yeah, having a little privacy is great. For me, I really need the privacy to sing, because you know, when you're songwriting, think of all the bad notes coming out. You know,
yeah,
a lot of bad notes when you're just kind of humming melodies and doing that whole thing. So I don't want to have to put her through that either.
That's nice, dude. I caught a little bit of your thing. Wasn't it yesterday?
What do you think, man? Like, you know, real talk. Like, tell me what you think of me on there. Do you think like I'm good at that shit? Do you think?
Yeah, dude.
Does it seem like I'm like personable for those type of things? I have no idea.
You're always personable. Give me that crap.
Like, no, I appreciate it, but I don't know. Like, honestly, it's like riding a bike or whatever, but I'm also like, hold on, I haven't ridden a bike in years. You know, I just haven't put myself out there like that. You know,
you're a very lovable guy, and I think this is actually very good for you. I think that you releasing it. Yeah, 100%.
Awesome, man. Yeah, no, I mean, I want to do more stuff like that because, dude, I'm making like real connections with people. Like, as I was saying earlier, I mean, it's like, dude, I got so many messages and people were like, holy shit, bro. Like, you know, like, please.
Was it just Facebook that you were?
It was just Facebook. And I put on Twitter for like a few minutes, and it was maybe like 10 people on Twitter, but Facebook, like, I think the first one, I think like maybe 15 or 1,600 people watched it. I didn't look to see how many watched the second one, but it's probably over 1,000 or something.
I mean, I would try to, because there's certain ways that you can stream to all of them at the same time. Yeah, I would try to get as much as good.
Yeah, I mean, I have the OBS software, and I have this other program called Restream that I could do a couple different things. But I was also just like, I think there's, you know, I want to make sure I can see all the comments. You know?
Yeah, I think Mobcam will actually put all the comments from everything in there, I think.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, you should check that one out.
Mob Cam. I'll try that one. Yeah, I mean, do they do Instagram yet?
I think it goes to Instagram too.
Oh, because that must be new. Because Instagram
Live.
OBS wouldn't let Instagram live. I think they had some kind of desktop. Because I don't think you could do lives on desktop. But I know they just changed that last week.
Yeah.
They posted about it. They're like, Instagram's now on the desktop, so maybe it has something to do with that. Maybe they're allowing people to do it. Because if they're not, they're idiots.
I think since everybody's at home now, that they're like, it's smarter to allow the desktop.
Yeah, I mean, because everyone's going live, and it's the only way to connect with people.
They wanted to keep it a separate ecosystem, but yeah.
Yeah, so I think every platform. I definitely want to stream onto all of them, and it'd be cool to aggregate them all to where I could just look at the comments, and I think that'd be fun. And for now, I was almost because I just really decided that I was going to go like full artist career like a few weeks ago. None of my like peers in the music industry, none of my music industry friends really even know Chris the artist, which is funny. A lot of people I work with are like, "Oh, and you sing?" I'm working with these kids in like the Vamps and all these groups or whatever. They sell millions of records and they're huge, like overseas. They sell out arenas all around the world. And in the U.S., they do maybe like 2,000 to 3,000 tickets, I think, in every market. Still big, still huge. But like around the world, they're huge. But they come here and they're like, "What do you do?" And I'm like, "I used to sing in this band." Like, "Oh, really? You used to sing?" And it's like they're like surprised by it. So it's kind of it's just funny when you start thinking about that stuff. So I haven't really presented myself to any of my like music industry peers as like Chris the artist, which is kind of funny. So I had I was almost kind of doing an experiment for Facebook, just like let's just see all the fans here, because my engagement isn't as high on Instagram for some reason. But my engagement's super high on Facebook. So I'm gonna try to do Instagram Live and Facebook Live and YouTube probably on some of the next live streams. So,
yeah.
I think that'd be kind of fun. But it's fun. It's fun doing it. I don't know. Did you see me perform the song or no?
No.
I did a couple songs. Yeah, I used popped in for that. But it's cool. I love that stuff. I feel like there's a connection being made that I don't even know if I really completely realize how big of a connection you can make with people doing that shit.
Yeah.
It's
also kind of built-in marketing. I mean, to be honest, like if you're going to be writing the songs on there, getting feedback on there, they like the songs, that's the one you pick, that's the one you record and release.
Yeah, they're invested already.
Yeah.
And several people sent me messages on Facebook afterwards. They're like, "Yo, I can't wait for you to release that song that you played. And let me know if you like when you release it, I'll share it, I'll tell everyone I know about it." They're offering. You know what I mean? I'm not even doing that. I don't even have to do the ask.
Yeah.
And when you like, it's like when you give, they do the ask for you,
Yep.
So there's a little bit of that. And I, trust me, man, I'm seeing all this potential. Like, oh shit, this could be like, a whole new wave, skip the label, skip the managers, skip the videographers, skip everything. Just do it all yourself, So, and I'll hire people on Fiverr to do some shit.
Serious.
Like
I've done logos and stuff for them at the very least.
Yeah, and I don't know. The whole game's changed, and I wanted to tell you this. I want to tell you more details of this conversation I had with this dude, the TuneCore guy.
Cool.
And I know you're not a huge TuneCore fan, but bro, he spit some knowledge too. I kind of want to just read. We were just texting back and forth, and he was just kind of explaining to me the algorithm thing, and he's like, "Bro, I recommend you release one song every week, or two songs a month or whatever." And he said and
make sure that you have them uploaded like a week or and a half earlier because
then it's considered for playlisting or whatever.
Well, they'll actually email all your fans, the people that you that liked your stuff on Spotify. They'll email that you have new releases.
Yeah. I mean, I have a good amount of followers too. I think I have 8,000 on there, which is, that's something, and even like every time I log into the Spotify for Artists, there's always like 15, 20 people listening to my music still after all these years. Yeah. So, there's some momentum that's still happening. And I can't really discount discount that, you know? So, but yeah, basically Homeboy said, like, fuck old school, man. Like, just if you release songs very often, then the algorithms will basically see that and go in your favor.
Yeah.
You know, which is, I mean, if that's the trick, I mean, if that's like a current hack in the music industry, like it could just, like you could just jump ahead of so many people and so many things. You know?
Which is why I feel like rock artists are still getting a little bit. That's another part of them getting like the short end of the stick, is because they're still so set on EPs and LPs that they don't want to release these singles. They just don't like that idea.
Yeah, well, because you grow up, the bands you liked, all the stuff you were fans of, put out albums, and it's. But if you're not smart, you're gonna lose.
Yeah,
that's just the way the game is. It's a music business. And if you don't play it like a business, you just gotta be smart. You gotta keep pivoting. Like if the market pivots, if everyone's looking over there, if everyone's over there, you don't want to be looking over here. It's just, it's actually simple if you think about it. It's just ego is the thing that gets in everyone's way.
Yeah.
If you really look at yourself in the mirror, like, why am I doing this? I want to have fans. I want to make music, and I want to make music for a living. Wouldn't you be doing everything you can to do those two things first?
Yeah. You'd think. But
I think anyone could be convinced to do that.
Yeah.
Even if you're like the purest of the purest, you could be like, hold on. You see John Mayer doing Instagram lives? You like guitar solos, right? He's great. You know what I mean? Like, get with the times, otherwise you're just going to get passed by.
Absolutely.
Or like 2 years from now, you're going to be like, you know what? I'm going to join TikTok. And it's like, no.
Way past it now.
Yeah, you already missed the boat. So
it's like free engagement now.
Dude, I showed you that post, right?
Yeah.
Well, I have another. Is it the same one that I showed you? It now has,
it was one with like the kid.
The kid crying. It now has 45,000. I think when I showed you, it had 30. Mm-hmm. Dude, it just it keeps growing.
She is cute.
No, I agree. But I'm saying my point has nothing to do with me or the baby. All it has to do is with I have 79 followers, and to reach that many people with that many followers is just insane amount of actual marketing, if you think about it. If my song was in the background of that, then 45,000 people just listen to my song. And someone might like it. Someone might be like, hey, what is that song? I'm going to make a video with that song. Like, that's free promotion. And I think if you're ignoring that exists, then you're literally have no idea how the world works right now. Like, would you want 45,000 people to listen to your song or not? And most people would be like, yeah, I would love for 45,000 people to listen to my song. And it's like, well, then you got to figure out the game.
And then if especially with TikTok, it's so like a viral thing. Yeah, you get paid for it, but it's so like a viral thing to where, like, if it's a fun song and other people are like starting to use it, it's like that Lizzo thing, where.
Yeah. Did you see there's a viral song on TikTok. There's two. There's the Put Your Hand in Mine. Have you heard that one? Put your hand in mine. That song came out 4 years ago.
Yeah.
TikTok.
And it just got,
TikTok
legs.
Reignited their career. Someone made a TikTok video to their song, and it reignited their career. Mm-hmm. And the same thing with that, whenever you're ready. Same thing. Song came out years ago. Mm-hmm. And someone made a TikTok video, and now this girl has a career.
Yeah.
Like, if you're sleeping on that platform, then there's something wrong with you. If you're sleeping on any platform, as an artist, you have to distribute on all platforms. This is free marketing.
Just try to do as much as you can.
I mean, watch how ham I'm about to go. Like in about a week or two, bro. It's like, I'm not gonna stop. You know what I mean?
I'm excited.
I'm gonna use every tool I have, and it's all free.
Yeah.
I'd love to pick your brain on some Facebook marketing stuff, because I was
gonna say
I'm gonna fucking go ham with that. I'm gonna invest money. I was like we were talking. I was like, should I invest in the stock market? And I'm like, actually, no. Hold on. let me invest in this guy. Let me take that fucking money I would have put in there and just put it into running ads and building my own brand, you know, creating an actual legacy of music. And, you know, that's big picture. That's my goal, bro.
I think I've been doing a couple dollars a day for the last 2 weeks for the podcast, and it's gotten me like an extra 1,000 downloads. It's just kind of, hey.
So, but yeah, man, this was fun, man. I gotta go tend to the baby.
Alrighty, you go do that, dude.